Hi, my name is Julian. I'm actually a student from a turnaround school, and my group, Young Voices, has been supporting Youth in Providence to be partners in the redesign of their schools. And I was just wondering if there was any way that student and community voice could be required in school redesign, especially at the high school level, since we as students would best know how to keep our peers in school.
So I think that student community voice is important in everything we do. So whether school redesign, specifically to your question, is hugely important. We've asked folks, we haven't talked today about the waivers we're providing to move folks away from No Child Left Behind, which we think is broken. If states apply, and Rhode Island is one of the 40 states that are going to apply, we're saying you have to have community input. You have to engage the community. And I just think for any of these changes to take hold, to take root, and to really stay the course, you have to have buy-in. And if they're designed, from on high and not listening to students, not listening to community, not listening to parents, I just think, the best plans on paper aren't going to have the staying power and have the real impact they need. So school redesign, thinking about different accountability systems, thinking about how we evaluate schools and teachers and principals and districts, that student voice, that community voice has to be heard. And I think there's, a real activism here that's very, very encouraging. And I would just make sure as we get an application from Rhode Island for a waiver around around No Child Left Behind, I desperately hope your voices are heard in terms of what's working, what's not, and where this needs to go. You have a real opportunity out there in front of you.
Thank you.
Can I add something?
Sure.
I think the challenge is that once it's at the point of redesign, it's too late. And so, I think this involvement, there's a lack of, these things aren't valued. And so, I think even districts that want to engage young people differently, if they're asked to make other things more of a priority, it's a challenge to make it a reality, especially at the point of redesign. And so how can we make it a value in our country to engage families and communities differently in a way that's concrete and that's meaningful and that really challenges people to do it?
So I think you should continue to push us to try and set the right tone and use the bully pulpit to make sure that's clear. And for the vast majority of places that are turning around schools, they are not doing it overnight. There's often a year of planning. Now, if you're invited in at the 11th month of that 12-month process, that's late in the game. And folks are new to this, so I don't want to justify that. But what we're not asking folks, in fact, we're specifically not asking them to do this over summer or to do it right away. This is tough work. You have to engage folks. I think hold us accountable for trying to continue to drive that message in a very clear way. But this is not work that you can do in a quick amount of time. There is a sense of urgency, but having that year to plan, to think, to take the temperature. In our lowest performing schools, you have amazing teachers. You have real assets. You have real resources. You want to make sure you build upon those and listen to those. But we also need to make pretty significant change and getting that right balance, having students there. So I would argue schools that you guys are thinking of turning around, not fall 2012, but fall 2013, it's not too early now to be having those conversations. It's not too early now to visit schools that are being turned around. And I hope the schools we turn around 2 years from now are much better and improve faster than the ones now, just because we're learning together. And so I think, again, staying way ahead of that learning curve, I think is really important, and we need to do a better